So first thing first, Sam, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. So before we get into the upcoming record, I'd like to go into something else. You just mentioned that some of your friends from back home are joining you today.
Yes.
How important is it to have those guys kind of along?
Oh, it's amazing, man. Like I worked with the boys who've come along. It's Tom and Steve, and Tom's dad's here as well, which is nice. But they worked in the pub with me where it all started, where I got found by my manager. My manager picked me up from the lowlights, so yeah, it's wonderful. It's nice to have them here because it's just a little bit of home, isn't it? You know what I mean? It makes you think about Shields, makes you think about North Shields, and makes you think about the lowlights, which is nice. But they're great lads as well. Proper funny. Tom used to like totally take the piss out of me when we used to work together. He used to call us Spuggy. Spuggy's my name.
So they keep your feet on the ground.
Oh, completely, yeah, completely. The slappers if I went big for me boots. You know what I mean? If I started having a bit of an ego, I'd probably get lynched. You know what I mean? But
That's good. We spoke before at Lowlands last year.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And we went into a little bit into your background and kind of where you grew up in North Shields and kind of the economic environment that you kind of grew up in.
Or lack of.
Exactly. But then on the record, and some of the songs are a little bit older, but there's still a lot of mention, and just now you kind of mentioned kind of the connection to North Shields. So how important, looking back, was kind of growing up there in you becoming the songwriter that you are?
Massively. I think all of my songs, I'd say majority of my songs, were the ones where I'm not looking outwards at things outside of my hometown. Sometimes I'm looking at bigger things like stuff that's on the news or whatever, or stuff that's a bit more global. But majority of the times where I'm talking about normal people and characters, they are based around Newcastle, because that's all I know. You know what I mean? I mean, I've done plenty of travelling since then, and I've been all over the world and stuff. But my home is a massive inspiration. I still live there now. I love Newcastle. I love North Shields. I love where I'm from. I love the people. It's a resilient town. You know what I mean? I think that's it's been through a lot through the 80s and stuff like that, and it's come out on top. You know what I mean? It's come out of the scrap still smiling. You know what I mean? I think that's the beauty of that town. It always does. I think a lot of northern English towns are like that. Whoa! But my second album I'm starting to write that, and I seem to be going even more about my hometown now. You know what I mean? I feel like there's so much to write about, and it's what I know as well. I feel like I'm better off writing about stuff that I'm actually well versed in. You know what I mean? So,
well, that's an interesting thought, because one thing that could have happened, and this is just kind of speculation in a sense, but you could have gone, I'm successful in what I'm doing, I'm going to move to LA or something, and then kind of go down that route.
Oh, I mean, that's not off the cards. You know what I mean? I still might do that. No. I think if I want to go somewhere else, I'll go somewhere else. I'll always come back home, I think. I quite fancy a bit of New York, like. I fancy going to New York for a bit, because that city looks...
It has more of that grit, like Northern England.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, that was the first place in America that I went that reminded us of home, which is weird. And it was because the people are loudmouths, you know what I mean? People are shouting at each other and stuff, and like, people talk to each other in bars. People talk to each other on the street. It's not like London, New York. It's a different place.
So what do you credit this resiliency to then? Well, how come, kind of, despite what has gone on and kind of the struggles, why do people like you are still keep that optimism alive and keep that kind of...
I don't know, man. I suppose it's in my blood. I suppose that's what I was taught as a kid. My dad, he's a very very like stereotypical, probably classic working class lad from the northeast. You know what I mean? Not stereotypical. Actually, no, stereotypical. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he worked the working men's clubs as a musician. Apart from the music bit, that's not really a stereotype. But he grew up with his three siblings in a council house, in a council estate, and like there was a big sense of community there, and people looked after each other. You know what I mean? I think like my grandparents used to take. There was loads of kids on the estate that used to. They used to take them on trips. You know what I mean? They'd just go camping. Off out in places like in I don't know where they'd go, but there wasn't like crazy holidays, but they would like. My granddad had a van or something because of his job, and they were the first people on the street to get a car apparently, which is mad. And they used to take all the kids out, and do these like mad trips and go out and play football and stuff and go camping and things like that, And the only reason I know that is because some old dude came over to me in a party and said, "Your grandma and granddad used to take all of us out on these trips." And I think there's that whole sense of like that community thing, that looking after each other thing. Like no matter what's going on in your town, that never dies. You know what I mean? That people don't stop being people regardless of the hardships or things happening around them. And I think that's what my dad always taught me as a kid and taught my brother as a kid, was that like regardless of what you're going through, it's not all about the coin. You know what I mean? It's not all about that. It's about living, and it's about living with what you've got. I think, which I mean, we were lucky. We never, like, when me and my brother grew up, we were very lucky. My dad worked, you know what I mean? We weren't, like, hard done by or anything like that. In the early years of my life, especially. But I think it was the values that we were taught. Sorry, that was probably a bit too long of an answer, and I kind of rambled on a bit there. I was struggling. I'm still waking up.
Just talk us through the issue, like I'm not looking for some quick sound bites or anything.
Yeah, no, I can't. Yeah, I'm not really. Yeah, I'm not really. I'm a bit dazed. Amsterdamage.
Fair enough. In a sense then, because talking about this community in a sense of inclusiveness, is that kind of, and maybe this is too grandiose a way of looking at it, but what you do in music, because you kind of try to include everything and try to talk about things that some people might shy away from?
I don't like pick a topic and think, oh, that's going to be something that people will relate to. I just sort of write about whatever the hell I'm thinking about at that time. So long that something stirs me up enough to make me write with conviction about something, then I will write about it. I'm not like going to go, I'll wake up today and write a song about the government. No, I'm going to wake up today and I'm not clever enough to lead any sort of revolutionary charge. You know what I mean? I'm just writing about what I see.
More observing.
Yeah, more observing, I suppose. People love that. That's a cop out, isn't it? I'm an observer. Yeah.
Well, if we go to the album then and into some of the songs, because like I said, some of the songs were already there. When did this whole idea of making an album kind of come to fruition? When did it become a reality?
I mean, it was always kind of on the cards. This album's been wrote for ages. Some of the songs on this album are 5 years old, 6 years old. There's a song on here that I wrote when I was 19.
Which one is that?
It's Call Me Lover. It's the poppiest song of them all. I wrote it when I was 19. It's kind of there for the fans, really, I think. Because sonically, it's kind of not where I am now, I'd say. It's very embryonic. It's still part of my journey, it's part of my story. But it's a pop song, which is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a pop song. But yeah, it's I think it's there for the fans, I'd say. Okay. I mean, for the people who were there at the start.
And in terms of the songwriting in it, then can you? I suppose you can hear the development then between that song and
Definitely
the later ones that you.
Well, the first tracks on the album are the more kind of new ones. So it starts off with Hypersonic Missiles, The Borders, and White Privilege, which are the three sort of newest on the album.
Let's start with the album title track, then, Hypersonic Missiles. What was the initial? Because you mentioned now it kind of these topics just come to you and then you write something about it, or you kind of even later on figure out what it's about. But what was the impetus for this particular song?
I was reading a newspaper, and it was talking about these missiles that Russia have, called hypersonic missiles, which travel at 2 kilometers a second, and can't be shot down by American satellite defense systems, so they're effectively unstoppable, and they can carry nuclear warheads. So it's a nuclear warhead that can travel at 2 kilometers a second and hits its target within 6 seconds of its launch. So you've got 6 seconds from the time it launches to the time it strikes. So yeah, I just remember being like, wow, that's bloody terrifying, that. And sort of exciting. And the song is essentially about a person who's a tinfoil hat wearing, conspiracy believing mentalist who's terrified of the end of the world, who's hopelessly addicted to the fruits of capitalism and loves eating junk food and is completely ignorant to the things that are kind of going on. So yeah, it's just it's just loosely based on myself, I suppose. But the song it's got this essence of hope, and it's kind of this whole thing about, like, you know, regardless of what's going on, regardless of how bad it is, you know, there's still that human emotion. There's still that thing about love, you know what I mean? And he or she is in love with somebody, you know, that line, I'm believing what I'm feeling and I'm firing for you. This world is going to end, but till then I'll give you everything I have. That's that whole sort of thing of, like, yeah, the world might end, but I'm going to give you everything I've got in that time. And, you know what I mean? I mean, like, it's kind of, it's loosely based on myself. I mean, like, the climate change and stuff like at the moment, that's the big problem that we've got, and we seem to be completely ignoring it. You know, we've got 10 years left before, you know, the planet's going to go into an irreversible chain reaction, which will then eventually lead to the end of our race, and nobody seems to be that worried about it. So I think Hypersonic Missiles is kind of loosely about that as well, except I picked hypersonic missiles instead of climate change because, let's face it, nuclear warheads are definitely sexier than climate change. So I picked that and it sounded more exciting.
And then if this is too personal, then you don't have to go into it. But this kind of thing that you, despite all kind of the world as it is now, loving something, is that personal to you as well? Is that music or is that a person or?
What, loving something? What? Sorry. What?
In terms of, you mentioned kind of you have this feeling. The way I saw it was a feeling of comfortably numb, being somewhat nihilistic. The first verses.
Yeah, he's nihilistic. Yeah.
And then.
No, well, he says he or she, the character, says they say I'm a nihilist. So somebody else is saying they're a nihilist. It's not them that. They're not nihilist. The people are saying that they're a nihilist because they don't believe that there is an existence. Right. There is a reason for existence. They don't believe in God or whatever.
But then in the latter verses, then that reason is found in well, at least I can say
in love. Yeah, of course. And that is essentially what I believe. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any of these deities that mankind has created. Because let's face it, that is the most likely answer to all of the gods on the planet that were man-made. You know what I mean? To galvanize people and to create a bigger society, which is, you know, it's done wonders for the human race to a certain extent. It's caused just as much damage, but I don't believe in that. But what I do believe in, I don't believe that we necessarily have a purpose, and I don't believe that, you know, that mankind is there to do anything grand. I mean, we've done plenty of grand things, but I don't believe we had to. But the one thing I do believe in is what I feel, because that is the only thing that, to me, is palpable is you know, your emotions, you know, feeling happy, feeling sad, and I prefer to feel happy than feeling sad. So and I like to be in love. I like the feeling of being in love, and I like the feeling of loving my friends and loving my family, and that's the only thing that's palatable to me. So I would like to carry on being in love and being happy and help my friends out and having a good time, and hopefully reversing that chain reaction and trying to fucking start doing something for the planet and the environment one day.
Well, sounds excellent. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Before we go, I have one quick question. You're playing Pinkpop later this year.
Yeah.
Did you know about the festival before you got booked there?
Yeah. It's the 50th anniversary this time, so it's a good time to debut, I think. Should be fun.
So what are your expectations? What are you looking forward to?
A fucking wild one, man. I don't know. Hopefully it'll go off it. Hopefully it'll go properly off it. I mean, I'm excited.
All right. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much, mate.
Thank you.